What's up, everybody? We are back. Fourth and go. Took a little week hiatus off, just freshen ourselves. But really, it was a little bit of the NFL draft and the Sixers playing in Game 6 last week that we just wanted to enjoy it, breathe it in. But we're back here to talk about that, how the Eagles did out in Vegas, how the Sixers polished off the Raptors and what their fate looks like versus the Heat. And then we'll talk Phillies, and, big rivals tonight playing the Mets. A lot of stuff to talk about. Been off for a little bit, but I'm Dave Gleckner. That's Marc Tomasini. Loving it. Looking forward to the next hour. How about you, brother?
Yeah, of course. Just like always, you know what it is. We're doing good things like the Eagles did last week. So we're definitely excited to get into it and break it down a little bit more for you.
Yeah, so let's start NFL draft. And obviously, we will hit on the Eagles, but we'll talk about some of the other teams here and what we saw and what we thought, was the good and the bad of that fun NFL weekend out in Las Vegas. And we'll start off with last Thursday night. We were tweeting it out a little bit and even, texting between each other. Some bombs dropped. And it wasn't just the Eagles, but the Eagles probably made the most or the biggest news, we'll say, in round one. But really, when you look at it, when we came into this draft just a month ago, we were sitting at, 15, 18, 19. And you end up there. Oh, no, the Phillies.
Yeah, 15, 16, 19.
15, 16, 19. Then you trade out and get to 18. And then you trade out 15 eventually and go to 13. They never picked at one of their picks.
They didn't. No, they didn't.
It's Howie. He just can't. He can't. It's like you give him a toy, he's going to play with it. And, but once again, let's talk about the initial move. The rise from 15 to 13 gets them up in a position to draft what they thought was the highest player left on the board in Jordan Davis. My opinion is I would have liked the safety from Notre Dame, but Kyle Hamilton, but I can deal with it, right? I think I understand. I always love building around the lines, and it's like 51%, 49% for me. It's that close. Like I'm not mad at the pick at all. Dude's a horse. He can just. He demands double teams. How big he is? What's he? 370. He's big.
5.
Yeah, he's big, and he's just going to be a force in the middle, which is great. It's just for me. You got Fletcher that you brought back. I know it's Fletcher that's 30 plus years old. You got Hargrave. It didn't really seem like a position for me that you need to attack. So that's where my thoughts were. I wanted to hear what you thought.
Yeah, I'm a little more negative, to be honest. I agree with you. They have Fletcher. They have Hargrave. I mean, they've been able to make it worth with Hassan Ridgeway. To me, it just seemed like there were so many other options they could have gone. The fact that they traded up for it too. I think there are two theories of thought of why they moved up to 13. For the Jordan Davis spot is because they were under the belief that Baltimore really wanted him. And that's a Baltimore type of player.
But who cares? Who cares what other teams want?
Hey, I'm telling you what I was told.
Oh, yeah, no, I got you. I'm just
I know. But I agree. Who cares, right? If Baltimore's going to pick him, Baltimore's going to pick him. Don't get suckered into doing that. That's kind of where I am when it comes to, why they thought that they needed to do that for Jordan Davis. The other train of thought that has been gaining some steam is that maybe there was, I don't remember it, exactly how it happened that night, but it seemed like as the Eagles were trading up to 13, Detroit traded up 12 to take Jamison Williams, the wide receiver from Alabama. That's the other train of thought.
I don't disagree with that train of thought.
Right.
I think there was a possibility that they were moving up to get Jamison. I'm with you there. Right. But let's talk about this. And before we get there, a guy that knows his football, checking in, Dan Green. And I think we're when you said at 13, I already said that's who I wanted. Hamilton, right?
Yeah.
Are you the same?
I was, to be honest, all aboard on Hamilton. Look, I know taking a safety at such a high position is not really a move in the NFL, but he was a guy that probably was rated as a higher player, probably didn't run as fast because, here's the thing. This is what happens in the NFL. People fall in love with stuff at the combine, and it also can kill you too. Because he didn't run 4 or 5 as a safety, but he's tall, he's got length, He can play in the box. He can play center field. He can do it all. He only fell out of the top 10 because of a 4.7 combine. I get it. You want your safety to be a little faster than that. But the things that he could do as a safety and the fact that we don't even have a safety there, I think that's the position of need. And he was one of the best players available at the time. Now, here's my thing about Jordan Davis itself as a player. From what I've heard now, don't get me wrong, I didn't watch a lot of college football this year. But just from what I've heard and some of the things I've seen, Jordan Davis wasn't used on third down. Jordan Davis didn't play a lot in the fourth quarter. Jordan Davis was on a stacked Georgia defense. Now, his size is unbelievable. His speed, I knew the moment that he ran that, 4.7 for, a guy his size, everybody went nuts and it went viral. And I thought, I have a feeling that Howie's going to go for a guy like that because he thinks that he's outsmarting everybody by going up because his stock rose up big time. And I get it. But to be honest, it wasn't the position in need. And honestly, if he wasn't getting third down reps, pass rush attempt reps in college, what's going to change in the NFL? Now, he's got talent around him. Again, believe it for what you will, whether you want to believe it or not. Like, I get it. You can't take everything for what it is. But if he wasn't playing on third down in college, what's going to make him that much better?
Not on passing down. And I agree with you.
And that's what we're taking at 13 for?
And talking Dan, I agree. Derwin James, one of my boys from Florida State, love his physicality, his I guess ball skills is what they like to, assess and analyze when they look at some of these guys that really just have that closing speed and play the ball well. Derwin James is a beast playing out with the Chargers. Right. Other one safety that I kind of also think is, something similar. Jeremy Chin. I mean, he was later, but for Carolina has been just a very good surprise. Great there. And you see what they do is they impact games. And that's what I think Hamilton can do. When you talk about Jordan Davis, his impact is not going to be on the stat sheet. It's not going to be through the eyes, and it's not going to be every down, like you said. So it's tough for me as well. But again, I'm probably not. You're probably more 80-20. I'm like 51-49. Like I said, I wanted Hamilton more, but I can live with this because I believe in building the lines.
I do too. To me, it's a price for a guy that I don't know if he's going to be a guy that is going to be that guy, but it's here nor there. But you think about it, you mentioned Jeremy Chin. That kills me because, when Jeremy Chin went?
Oh, yeah.
Right after Jalen Hurts.
I know.
When he had a quarterback and we took another quarterback in the second round. Now, we would be in a different spot today if that didn't happen. I'm not saying we'd be a contender because we drafted Jeremy Chin. No, that's not the case. But we'd have a bona fide safety who's a legit good safety in the NFL. And, maybe Carson Wentz would still be here. Now you can say it's a give or take because would he be throwing junk balls still? There's definitely that possibility. Don't get me wrong. But the trajectory on where things is. But then you look at the next move and it's like, well, that wouldn't have happened if it weren't for Jalen. Like, it's just so weird the way that the history changed by a second round draft pick.
Can you believe this Phillies game right now?
I had my hand on my head.
I might actually have to turn it off.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, first off, it's going to be a 6-run night.
I think Knable was just wanted to save, but now he's let too much rope.
Yeah, well, I mean, the
came into the game 7-3, and now it's 7-5.
Yeah,
and no
home run.
No.
Okay.
Jesus Christ!
It's not good.
It's not good. Sorry, I'm probably ahead of you, right?
Yeah. Well, it's 7-5. Yeah. So it's crazy. A 6-run ninth inning, huh? Oh yeah. Right. They score both. Oh yeah. That's awesome.
Our boy Jankowski slides in the home.
Yeah. Nice job, Knable. Hey, got a closer in that just let up 3 hits and 3 missiles, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, this is where I feel the worst is for a guy like Nola,
right?
Right.
Him. How about Wheeler last night? I mean, I know we're not talking Phillies right now, but
I was at the game last night. I was sad.
right.
Every single time this team has great pitching, they don't score.
Okay.
Every single time they score a lot, this is what they do. They're dysfunctional. Girardi is an absolute mess. I used to like him, but he stinks. He absolutely stinks this year. Last night he made a move. I was scratching my head taking Wheeler out for Alvarado in the 8th, but it worked out. He got lucky. This is just – it's bad.
Don't look.
It's that bad?
Don't look.
Don't tell me they're losing.
Don't look.
Oh,
we might as well get back. We might as well get back to football at this moment. I hope the people who are watching just look at your face right now. It's classic. Back to football.
All right, give me a second. Hold on, I'm turning this off.
Yeah.
Norwood, they throw. He just gets ripped. And then Knable. Wow. Joe is just 7 runs in the 9th. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, I didn't bet on it, so whatever. They stink. So, back to football. So that's the first pick. That's Jordan Davis. That's our assessment that we're both kind of lukewarm on that and understanding where they get value. We'll see, if this really does pan out. But let's look at the next one.
It would have been perfect. Almost perfect. But you know what, teacher? Maybe he's a great player. Maybe he pans out. Maybe he is this run stuffer and he brings a pass rush. Because that's what we need. We need a pass rush. Like, I know in our defense, we try to get it more from the outside in. Excuse me?
Yeah.
But you also need, like Fletcher Cox in his prime was getting double-digit sacks. Like, he had at least 110 sack season for a defensive tackle. People are saying it's the second coming. This is a guy who got, 2 sacks last year? It's, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But where the night turned around big time, and there was a lot going on. So they picked Davis, and I remember I was sitting in this room, and I was, I knew it. They picked Davis, and my friends are trying to talk me into it. And I'm just like, look, that these are the reasons why I don't think so. But I hope it works out for him. Great. And then all of a sudden, the Shefty bomb hits. I get the Twitter notification, and it says that the Eagles are sending the first and third picks, the 101 first pick of this year, to the Tennessee Titans for A.J. Brown, and then shortly followed up by a contract extension. 4 years, $100 million, 57 guaranteed.
So I remember the last time we talked, and you were in on the Debo move. I was not. And I was partly not in on the Debo because of the money.
And
also the price.
What would it take? Yeah.
And third, the durability. There's just some things I'm in on the A.J. Brown. So, it was more the player for me when you brought it up before.
Yeah.
I like Debo, but it was just like, but A.J. Brown's a different dude. Mm-hmm. Like, he is a wide receiver. Debo to me is more of a
scat back, running back.
Yeah, you saw jet sweeps, all this like different stuff. Like, he ran the ball like 3-4 times a game.
The one thing that, though, because this is more of a rushing offense, it would have made sense. You actually would have been utilizing him for what he is. That's why I was good with it. I was good with any of these guys. DK, who else? DK, Tyreek, not Tyreek. DK, AJ Brown, Debo, and there was one other one who was a possibility. Or maybe it was the whole Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill thing. But at least those 3 receivers were available and being discussed about in the trade market. And actually, more of the noise was around Debo and DK, and AJ Brown, the one who sits there in silence, ends up being the one who gets dealt. Really, it just came that Tennessee just didn't value him like the Eagles would or like other teams would. And the relationship between him and Hurts helps. And it's the one thing I'm grateful for.
Yeah, but
They have that friendship, but they also can't let this be the reason why they don't go for another quarterback next year if it doesn't pan out.
yeah, so let's go back to something that you said earlier and the potential of the Eagles moving up to get Jamison Williams. I did believe that, but then part of me says this trade was done a day before.
Now, I was going to
Um,
say they were talking about by like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It was that day.
it
It
was
was
done.
like a.
It was so then
But then
my
it makes you think that maybe the Williamson or Jameson Williams stuff was smoke.
yeah, and that's where I was getting at. So I know you mentioned it earlier, and I was like, for me, if I would have got Jamison Williams at 13 and held on to 18 and grabbed, I don't know, I think I remember the kid from Washington was still there. Obviously I love Devin Lloyd, and I would have been like, that's a perfect draft. Now to roll with, Jordan Davis and AJ Brown, pretty good too. So I'm okay, and I love AJ Brown. I think he brings this dimension to this team, this nastiness. Like I remember the thing about AJ Brown is he's so good in the red zone. He's a
Yeah.
guy that can just physically box you out as well as take a 2-yard slant and just no fear right over the middle and take you out and score it. So he's going to change where I thought we had the biggest weakness, and that was scoring in the red zone. I mean, pretty much smaller receivers. It was tough to get Devontae the ball. You could get Goddard, but you had to pound it in. If anything, you're running it. Now you had this dimension inside the 20 that really should make Hurts
Yes.
that much more of a weapon in the red zone. Now you can add that threat. And so, this move was great. And all of itself, you're not getting a receiver. Like, A.J. Brown is better than Jameson Williams.
He's proven.
Yeah.
He's proven, and he's only 24. He's young.
Yeah.
Like, he's 26 going on 27. He's 24 years old.
Right.
Fresh.
Right.
Like you're getting in his prime. And, like you said, the physicality is there. He's not afraid to go over the middle. I think he actually plays bigger than he is because he's not slender.
Right.
But he's strong. He's physical. He's willing to get in there. And it opens everything up for Dallas Goedert and Devontae Smith. And, you hope that, Quez Watkins maybe takes a step forward and you see what goes on with that. Like this offense could be something, but now there's no excuses for Jalen Hurts moving forward.
Yeah, and I'll admit Dan checking in saying Jermaine Johnson. He was someone that I really did like too. I was surprised he fell down to, what was it, 26, 27?
Yeah.
And didn't the Ravens snag him too? Or
I think. I know. I thought the Cowboys were going to grab him, and I was
good.
I was a little worried about that because I was going to say, all right, a defense with DeMarcus Lawrence.
Oh no, the Jets moved up to get him. That's who it was.
Oh, yeah. They had a good draft.
They did, and we'll get to who we thought had the best draft and hold that thought. But yeah, sitting there and to be able to pluck someone like AJ Brown to actually bring in that talent to this team is just going to open things up for Hurts. You and I are on the same page as Hurts. I don't know if that takes him to the next level. To me, probably not. But no excuses, right? And that's where we're heading into this year. Pumps him up, whatever it can do to put him in the position to succeed. They got to try because I was on another show before the draft, and I was of the opinion this draft class quarterbacks were terrible. They were similar to what I think the 13 draft was when the highest quarterback taken in that draft was Geno Smith in the second round.
I think it was 39. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a bad draft year. And I think this one's very similar. I do not think Kenny Pickett is the guy. I do not think Malik Willis is the guy. Yeah. I don't think Sam Howell. I think, if anything, you'll see maybe someone in the lower scale, maybe a Ritter pop up and surprise us a little bit. But
Ritter, Carroll, maybe one of those guys.
Yeah. But this was not a draft class for me that I was willing to go invest.
And I'm glad. And looking back on it, I know a couple of months ago, I was like, oh, yeah, let's go for Kenny Pickett. But the more and more you look back and you digest and you see what's out there and what's going on. And, you're lucky if he's a top 18, 16 quarterback in the league. You're lucky if they're that. And, the things and from what, people in the know have said is that Malik Willis, he can't, even at Liberty, he couldn't read defenses. Yeah. He's got natural ability. And, that's something you can learn, but to be able to really like get that going.
It doesn't. That doesn't come naturally. Like like you don't grow that skill.
Right.
That skill is, if you have it, you have it, and you can grow it. If you don't, you don't, and it's not going to grow. So I'm
Right.
with you. So that now we go to the second round, right?
Yeah. This was
And what
another little bit for me.
I'm good with it, but again, was it a need? And we're talking Cam Jurgens, right?
This is what the Eagles do. They think they're making luxury picks when they're
Yeah,
not in that position to do so.
yeah,
After hearing everything about it, I understand why, but I just feel like better use of their assets.
but
You
that's what I'm getting at. Like, we did
yeah,
not draft positions of need; we drafted positions of replacement, and
right.
like
And not
it's
immediate replacement though.
no. I mean,
Here.
Kelsey might only have 1 year, but he could have two. And where do we have a luxury right now? I feel like it's the offensive line.
Right. That's the
So
place where we do have it. Like, because here's the thing. Landon Dickerson can be a guard. Landon Dickerson can be a center.
yeah,
You're full in the offensive line. And
yeah,
defense, and like I said, you're pretty packed too. And
yep,
those two picks, as much as they might be good picks, they're also luxury picks. We
yeah.
need I mean, obviously we got AJ Brown as a receiver, but we still needed a safety. We need cornerbacks. Like, I don't know if the cornerback talent was there at that point. Excuse me. But I just feel like there's other ways that we can utilize these picks, and we're taking them on, chances.
Yeah, no, that's what it was. Now, Jurgens, you hear a lot of great things
Might
about, and how athletic he is, how smart he is, and all those good things, and that's great, right? But I feel like that's Landon Dickerson all over, who I guess now we're going to grow into a guard, and that's
right,
fine. He got bigger, he got stronger, and he can play that position. But Landon Dickerson had all those talents and traits of that
right.
leader on the offensive line. So either way, it's an to me, it's an okay pick. So then I go into the third round, and I'm going to tell you this right now. And maybe this hits, maybe this doesn't. And I agree with this, and we're probably getting
Right.
there. Howie drafted lucky. And that's all it is. That this
It's
because
luck.
Nakobe Dean, I love, and I think he's going to be awesome for the
Yeah.
Eagles. But it's not because Howie made a great draft pick. It's because
Right.
he fell in Howie's lap.
This is going to be just like, if he pans out, there's going to be other cities across the league that are like us that are saying DK Metcalf. They had injury concerns with DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
It came to fruition. He's been healthy. He's been one of the best receivers in the league. What we hear, oh my God, I can't believe the Eagles passed on DK Metcalf. Yes, and so did 40 something other teams who had upper opportunity, like not 40 teams, but what was he taking? Like pick 50 something the
Yeah.
he was taken. Look, every team had the opportunity to draft DK Metcalf in that draft, and they didn't. But then the Seahawks were like, you know what? We'll take a shot on this guy. Same thing happened right here with Nakobe Dean. Now, I was excited as all hell that they took him, but it fell to our lap. And I remember,
I'm still excited.
I wanted Nakobe Dean. Like when we first started talking draft, I was hoping they would use one of their first rounders on him. That was my hope. We ended up getting him here.
I agree.
I hope that
early on I wanted him or Lloyd,
right.
and then I said I'll take Lloyd just because the length and athleticism. Like
right.
Dean's short, and that was I don't care about this guy can play football, so the short doesn't bother me. It was like if I had a choice between the two, I lean Lloyd.
Right.
But like Dan just said, I would have taken him over Cam Jurgens and ran to the bank.
Too, and still be
But Howie won't. He'll take a center from Nebraska over this linebacker
right. Who was the best linebacker in football.
Yeah. And now he'll tell you he's the smartest because it laid him in the third round. And now it'll buy Howie 5 more years.
Yep.
Like
yep. Those are I agree. It is BS on that part. Like that he's gonna get away with it and everyone's gonna believe it and everyone's gonna fall for it. And here's the thing though, if he gets hurt, that's going to look bad.
I don't know. See, if he gets hurt and it's a third round pick, he blew every third round pick his whole career. So what? I mean, I don't know. Like, does it really hurt? Like if you blow a 3rd-round pick?
No, I guess not.
I guess it looks bad if it's the 2nd-round pick and he gets
Right.
hurt, right? Like Sidney did.
But the thing is, we knew with Sidney Jones, like he actually was coming off of an Achilles tear.
That's tough.
We watched it. We watched it happen where with Nakobe Dean, he played I think he started every game that he played at Georgia. And I was listening to Albert Breer on the radio today. He said he has a whole line of injury concerns like that he's been across, but he's played through it. That's a good thing, but it also means that he could break down. But if he's been able to play, then good for him. I mean, yes, he's a little smaller of a linebacker than you want, but here's the one thing that I got to say in the NFL is they have their issues with, and this goes back to the Jordan Davis thing that I was saying earlier. People, the analytics guys, the gurus who think that they know everything, when it comes to hand size for a quarterback, Joe Burrow proved them wrong.
I know.
So now everyone's saying like Jordan Davis ran. Now we don't know yet. Jordan Davis ran a really good 40 for a guy his size, but they also showed tape of him getting worked by a center who's half his size. Like it's possible. There's times where he does stuff to run, but in the past, he's just a big body. Now, maybe he fixes it. Maybe he works it. Maybe Fletcher Cox takes him under his wing. I know Fletcher Cox welcomed him and was like, welcome, blah, blah, blah. So that's good to see. At least like, I don't buy into that stuff all the time, but at least that Fletcher Cox, somebody who, had to restructure his deal, pretty much get cut to get signed just for 1 year and $14 million. Doesn't seem like a lot, but from the deal that he had and for him to welcome pretty much his replacement, it's a good thing. And it's hopeful for it gives me, that's what it keeps me at 20% instead of 10% on Jordan Davis being good here.
Yeah. But let's look at the rest of the draft.
But I'm just saying people get crazy about combine stats for the better and for worse.
Yeah.
People buy too much in. You look at Nakobe Dean's background and what he did as the signal caller and Georgia's best defense in college football, he's worth it.
McShay had him at 19th or something, and he graded him at like a number. He's like, this is ridiculous. He's like, I understand he's falling. I know he was going to fall. But
this injury thing is it's crazy.
McShay's ready to die on the sword on the Kobe Dean. Like, and I think we all are, and I'm with you. Like those numbers don't matter. Now let's look at the rest of the draft. I think it was uninspiring after Nakobe Dean. They traded away almost everything just to position themselves for next year, get more assets. How he does.
They did the
Kyron Johnson, linebacker from Kansas, and then Grant Calcaterra, tight end from SMU, who actually quit football. He was a tight end for Oklahoma for a little bit. Quit football, started selling cars. The day he was supposed to go in, he didn't show up and ran over and signed with the SMU because he had a couple of friends over there. Long story short, he had a pretty good year at tight end there. Gets drafted. So 2 football powerhouses, Kansas, who's won 3 games in about 10 years, and SMU, who hasn't won much ever. So since Eric Dickerson left, how he's just plucking them from those universities that we love. Go get those TCU, Jalen Ragers. Go get those Stanford, J.J. Arcega-Whitesides. I know it's a 6th round, but what I'm trying to tell you is here he is again, trying to outsmart you, trying to pick athletic conferences that aren't good, teams that aren't good. And I just got to end with this, Mark, and I'll give it right back to you. I'm going to give my overall grade of this draft, and it's not going to be popular. It's Jordan Davis, Cam Jurgens, Nakobe Dean. It's Kyron Johnson, Grant Calcaterra. And people giving him A pluses, what in the world are you talking about? We got a B. And we got a B because Nakobe Dean was our 3rd round pick. Other than that, I'm sorry. We did not improve that greatly. I hope I'm wrong. Obviously the AJ Brown, you have to factor into the draft a little bit. So you could even maybe shade it up to B plus. I get it. But I got to look at what was picked. What was picked is not an A plus for me. It's not an A. And I still think Howie didn't pick positions in need.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go B plus here because I am factoring the other things, and the other part that I'm factoring is the trade with the Saints.
I got you. I agree with that.
You have to put that in there because they did give themselves a 2nd first-round pick next year, which was the plan.
It could be a top 15.
And you had that a good while ahead of time, so you knew. And you did it with a team that has the opportunity to not be great and to be a little bit higher of a draft pick. Possibly, like I think the Eagles finish better than the Saints. If that's the case, you're looking at a good situation, unless the Eagles just fall out. This is the thing. The Eagles have shown they're punting this year. Yes, they traded for A.J. Brown. But the good thing about that is he's locked in for the next 4 or 5 years. So you have a great player, and he can go play with his buddy, and he can say he was there with his best friend. And when he sees that his best friend isn't a great quarterback, and they go get somebody else, guess what? A.J. Brown's not walking out the door saying, I want to be traded because Jalen Hurts is not the starter anymore. If they get a better player than him in the draft, or if they go trade for another quarterback, he's still got $57 million guaranteed, and he still has $75 million left on that contract after next year that says, hey, buddy, you're not going anywhere. This isn't going to fly. So to me, when I look at it, they got another draft pick for next year. And I agree, because I love Nakobe Dean, especially where they got him. But I don't love Jordan Davis. And I wasn't in love with the fact that they took a center in the second round. And they're given the whole like Jason Kelsey picked him. And I agree. It's good that they got his they got his analysis, and he said he's one of the best centers he's seen in the past 5 years. That's all well and good. But when you're not getting the best players available and the players of need at the same time, that's where it brings you down a little bit. Because if I factor the A.J. Brown and the Saints trade, if they actually made the picks that I wanted at 13, say they took Kyle Hamilton and say they took somebody else of importance instead of Cam Jurgens, this is an A+ for me. But because of the two guys that they took there. The rest of the draft, anything past round 4, I don't care. So, and I don't like that they traded 3/4, even though I don't care that much. They traded 3/4 to move up to 13.
Yeah, so let's just go over that. And true, Dan. I agree. Goodrich, looks okay.
They got well, I'll further
and then I'll put this out there. If Dean is injured, Jurgens not playing, with Kelsey healthy and Davis's rotational piece, that's what I'm getting at. So how can we sit there
but they're punting, they're building for the future, and that's what it is. I mean, I don't love it, but they kind of filled that plan, because maybe next year they take more impact players when it comes to that.
I get it. And I get that drafts don't really get graded till 3 years out. Yeah. I get all that, and we could look back in 2 years and say, wow, what a draft. But I can tell you right now, there are gaping holes at defensive end. Yeah. Gaping holes at the second quarterback position. Steve Nelson's going, I thought he was garbage anyway, so it doesn't matter. But they don't have any of those positions. Right now, you're banking on, what is it? I mean, I guess you're banking on Sweat, and they brought back Barnett, right?
Graham.
Graham, if he gets healthy. I mean, Graham, Barnett, and Sweat. We're going. It's 2021 all over again. Like, is that what we're doing? With 2021, we were the second worst team in sacks in the NFL. We created the least pressure, and we got nothing there.
That's why I don't like the Jordan Davis pick.
I know, and that's what I'm getting at with Dan and what I'm saying tonight, and I'm glad you guys are all on board. We didn't really, to me, we did not improve that much. The words "not much impact," I agree. Now Dean can make that impact. AJ will make that impact. Calcaterra, listen, he could make this team, and he could be a decent second tight end. I think he could be a diamond in the rough, but I mean, I don't know that you're running into a second place schedule. You're not going to have the luxury of a last place schedule once again. You look at the Pythagorean wins last year. They should have been about 7, but they got 9, and we still have Hurts. Like my prospects of this team is not quite as high as probably a lot of other people think.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm at.
They did this all about next year. They're trying to set themselves up for next year. It's a risk, because if they're not good next year and they don't get the quarterback, then they did all this building for nothing. Yeah. So it's hit or miss. And another reason why I give it a B+ is because if they did this right, next year they draft more impact players. I mean, next year they can focus, they can find a way to get one of the top quarterbacks And then if they can get, a defensive end and something else. I mean, we did forget Hassan Reddick. That is something to
But that's
note.
all free agent. I get it. And
And we
I
have
actually like
Hassan
Kazir
Reddick,
White too.
Kazir White. I think their front seven got better. I just think the biggest flaw is that they didn't address defensive back.
Yep.
They didn't get Tyrann Mathieu. And the rumors now are that if James Bradbury is released from the Giants, the Eagles will be in on him. I hope that happens. I hope that's the case.
Yeah, they need a.
For what it is,
I think that's a good segue. So, we're a little over a half hour in, and one of the things, I think we should talk about is who did win in the draft. Now, you were just said, what else did you want to add?
The only other thing I want to say, I think they did do good in the undrafted free agent. You never know what that is. I know that Dan mentioned Goodrich, Mario from what was he, Bama?
Yeah.
Bama. They drafted another cornerback too.
Drafted. I think that's all.
No, not drafted. Picked up another good cornerback from another top tier school. I can't think of who it is at the moment.
Okay.
But then, and they also drafted, or not drafted. I keep saying drafted because it's undrafted free agent. I do like that they took a flyer on Carson Strong. Now it's probably not going to work out, but that's really, he was like a guy who was regarded as, a potential first, second, third round quarterback. And, they get to take a flyer on him just to see. Who knows what happens with Minshew. I mean, maybe he's the third quarterback, maybe, and it gives them an option. And it's kind of an offense.
Clemson. Goodrich is Clemson. I'm sorry.
Oh, then there was a Bama guy. No, I thought Goodrich was Bama, and I thought that there was somebody else.
Bama was Josh Jobe. You're on it that. And Jobe. And the funny part about Jobe is if he came out a year or so earlier, which I don't think he could, he would have been a highly rated corner. He just got toasted last year.
Yeah.
And then someone were saying it was because of injury, but then his combines were not great. So yeah, Jobe is a guy that I think is the guy you're talking about.
Right. Yes, that's it. So they have that, and then like I said, Carson Strong. I think that's a great signing.
Well, I'm a big Kennedy Brooks guy. I did like Kennedy Brooks, the running back out of Oklahoma for UDFAs.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, he's your Jordan Howard. He's very upright, but he's powerful. So they're very similar, but you get about 7 years younger. So I think Kennedy Brooks has a shot too. So I do agree that they actually dipped into the UDFAs decently.
I would love. I know we have to go back to where we were going, but what I would love is, obviously you want Miles Sanders to be good, and I've always been a big Miles Sanders fan, but I'm kind of like losing steam on that train right now. But if Gainwell takes a step forward, and they do like a thunder and lightning back between those two, say Kennedy Brooks ends up being something like a Jordan Howard, and Kenny Gainwell can be what we've envisioned him to be, and what you and I both liked him before last year's draft, and they get him in the 5th round, get like a thunder and lightning set up in this offense. That'd be great.
I'm done on Miles Sanders. Yeah. I'm way done. I've always been concerned with the, protection of the ball, and he's still
and his routes, the way
his routes. Yeah, I agree.
He takes side routes instead of finding the holes. He doesn't go for the holes.
And yeah. So, but overall, all right, let's get into it real fast. And the Duke kid, he was that was interesting. He's the Josh Blackwell. Again, I think the first 3 guys the Eagles signed right after the draft were all D-backs. So they heard loud and clear, I'm not going to draft one, but I'm going to pluck one from the UDFAs. And when you're plucking from Clemson and Alabama, 2 great defenses, and Duke, a powerhouse from the ACC in football. Kidding. But still, plucking from Duke. It's not bad. So at least they did answer that. But all right. What team won the draft for you?
See, the thing is, I want to say the Jets. The Jets really did.
That's fair.
A good job, but it's the Jets. Like, you don't know. And I know you and I liked Zach Wilson last year. This year obviously was a very tough rookie year for him.
Yeah.
But they really gave him, it's kind of like Jalen Hurts. They gave him no excuses. The only problem is if they lose Mekhi Becton, then that definitely hurts him. That situation's fluid right now. But I mean, they get Sauce Gardner at 4, which once Derek Stingley went at 3 to Houston, I mean, if you're New York, you have to take Sauce there. And then you get Garrett Wilson, who might have been the best wide receiver in the draft, and then they go get Johnson later on and put an edge rusher for them. They've hit every part of the offense now. They got good running backs. They have Zach Wilson. They have Garrett Wilson. They have, Jermaine Johnson on the line. They have Sauce Gardner, and that's just their rookies and stuff like that. They bring Braxton Berrios back, who had a really good year for them last year. Like, if they can solve things with Mekhi Becton and they can keep it, even though people think he'll never wear a Jets jersey again. I mean, that's a really great setup for them, and it'd be about time.
I'm gonna go Ravens. I mean, listen, when you fall back and things just start falling into your lap.
Typical.
And I mean, even like we talked about Hamilton earlier, but Tyler Linderbaum, you're just coming out of Iowa, one of the best offensive linemen in the team in the draft. He just, I think the Ravens just hit it. Like, I think they struck gold. And once again, these Ravens just don't seem to miss. When they need it, they get it right, and they get athleticism. Like, if you remember, I wanted Patrick Queen. You might have wanted him too.
I want big time.
Yeah, and you just look, and this guy, it's just an absolute animal. LSU linebacker, and that was the year that we did end up getting, what was it, Rager, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was trying to think, was it so Queen and Kenneth Murray were the two linebackers, the best linebackers coming out.
Oklahoma. Yeah.
Oklahoma and LSU.
Yeah.
Was it Murray that went in the second round and Queen went at the very end of the first?
Yep.
Not about right. Okay. Yeah.
But then, like, the Ravens just kept going. David Ajabo, the linebacker out of Michigan, he's like the D end almost, but
right.
They just kept. And I mean, I remember a bunch of other things came through, but Jalen Armour Davis, cornerback out of Alabama in the 4th round. These guys just don't miss. So I give the Ravens more of an A+ because they were drafting from positions in the draft that weren't probably like really sexy and where they would think they would hit this type of grade. Jets, they had to hit. They had 2 top 10 picks, and I agree. They won. They did great, but it's the Jets, and I think you made that perfect compliment. So I edged the Ravens just by a little bit.
The one question I have about the Ravens is I know they still have Rashad Bateman, but they trade Hollywood Brown.
I'm good with that.
I'm just trying to think though, what else do they have? Like, they have J.K. Dobbins, like if he recovers from his ACL. I'm trying, like, in Mark Andrews, great tight end, love him as tight end. But what else are they doing receiver wise for Lamar?
Yeah.
And what were their other running back options? I can't remember.
So I love Bateman. I think Bateman's better than Hollywood.
Right.
And I mean, there's still a few out there lingering on the market. I mean, you're never probably this late going to make an impact, but I did like Charlie Kohler, the tight end that they got later in the draft from Iowa State, that they compare in a 2 tight end set with their awesome Marc Andrews. He's like an Andrews clone. So I got you. But they have so many running backs, so many tight ends now, and they got Bateman. I think he'll be all right. Yeah. And for me, Hollywood, like, he missed the first bunch of games last year, and he was Kyler Murray's buddy in college. I just think that saved them.
Yeah.
Murray, he needed that reassurance almost. He lost Chris Kirk. DeAndre Hopkins is now
suspended.
Yeah. But here's the other team that I was impressed about. I thought the Lions did a good job too. I mean, Hutchinson, again, it's tough when you're sitting there, 2 great picks, but to move up and get Jameson.
But I question that move.
Do you? Because all they had was
they have no succession plan. Jared Goff is their quarterback right now. They'll have ammo next year. I just wonder what, I know it's like pairing him with Amon St. Brown and stuff like that, but what else do they Yeah, I know they have DeAndre Swift. I mean,
Well, for me, I mean,
I think if they have a quarterback, I like a better like if they have somebody waiting in the wings
yeah,
than
but
Jared Goff. I think it's noteworthy what they did. I'm
yeah,
not
I
crediting
guess
you.
the way I look at it is, and saying it earlier, none of these quarterbacks are going to do anything.
No,
And
I
I'm
know.
still, I'll stand out on the plank and I'll tell you guys that, like, okay, one of these might finish in the top 15, 16 of NFL quarterbacks in the league, top half. But like, this is not your Herbert Burrow. And
Sure.
even last year, I'm still got some love for T Law. I think, we
Oh yeah,
saw
that was a bad situation. I
yeah,
absolutely think and honestly, and I wasn't the biggest Doug fan, but I think he's going to do a lot more with Doug Peterson as his coach.
absolutely. And I don't think, Mac Jones, we already saw, like Davis Mills surprised in Houston. Last year's quarterback class is going to be good. And I mean, I was never a Fields guy. I saw a little heart out of him last year. I could see possibly him coming around. Zach, like we
Fields
talked
is the
about.
number one guy. You put
Yeah,
Fields in this year's draft,
he's number one.
he's up there. He's
Don't
the
forget.
quarterback taken for sure.
And Trey Lance, I think, is can be special too. Like he is a physical like specimen. Like he's good, man. Like I saw him throw some bullets last year. I'm like, wow. So, but that's what I mean. Like, I'm not mad at the Lions for not reaching this year.
No, I'm just surprised the trade up from 32 to 12
Yeah, true.
for a receiver when you don't have a quarterback. I mean, I know the Eagles are gonna have competition next year to get up. If it's only Stroud and if it's only Stroud and Young. But if there's
That's what I
other,
mean.
but I think Mel Kiper set the over under at quarterbacks picked in the first at 6 or 6.5 or something like that. Obviously, it's far,
Next year.
but
Yeah.
for next year. But if there
Well,
are that many guys available, then hopefully it bodes well for the Eagles.
he had that one of the guys that got up there is Will Levis from Kentucky, who was a Penn State quarterback. You're seeing the guy from Miami. You're seeing, obviously, you got the guys from Bama and Ohio State that are just going to be, top two.
They should be, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, a good point. Hawkinson, I think, is great tight end. Probably top 8 in this league. St. Brown showed his worth last year. And DJ Chark is a surprising little,
I forgot that.
Yeah.
I guess they're gonna try and make it work with Goff for this year. And I mean, he's not
I don't
terrible.
think Goff is he's not terrible. That's where
He's
I'm at.
not
Like
good either.
if you ask me, like, is Goff better than Wentz? Yes.
He doesn't make as many. See, I think Wentz is a better talent, and I think Wentz has more potential, but he's a bonehead and he's stubborn, and he's his own worst enemy. Because I think Wentz is much more talented than Goff.
I agree,
but it's up here with Wentz.
Yep.
Where Goff, I think, is just your run of the mill game manager.
Let's talk one other team real fast here while we're on. The New York Giants. Give me a feel where you thought they landed in this draft, because again, another team that held 2 top 10 picks.
Yeah.
5 and 7. I thought it came out pretty well in 5 and 7. I thought the rest of it.
Yes, I agree. I think they got, a great tackle in Evan Neal. They now have tackles on both sides. They have a chance to now be solidified, which is a position that they have not been able to do for a long time. They picked up Nate Solder from New England a couple years ago, gave him a big contract, and that didn't work out. So they now have 2 rookie deal linemen who can really be their cornerstones. And then Kayvon Thibodeau was unanimous number 1 heading into the season. And really it's character issues and probably playing in Oregon, because Oregon hasn't been as great of a team. Probably the 2 only reasons why as to why he fell. Still with a lot of potential, a lot of upside. And when his motor is on, you're in trouble. You're absolutely in trouble.
Yep.
And I think that's all. Just those 2 players alone, you got an offensive lineman and a defensive end. Probably 2 of the biggest needs that you could get, attacking the quarterback and protecting the quarterback. That was your job. That was your assignment for the New York Giants. They got a lot better there. Now they have to figure out what they're really going to do at quarterback. They didn't pick up Daniel Jones's option. It's they're going to be in the hunt for a quarterback, I think, next year too. But I definitely think they nailed those first 2 picks, and it was hard not to. Really, it was right there for them.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Appreciate it as always, and appreciate
Me
your,
too.
you know, your content and helping us
Yes.
out in this show. But I'm with you. Like, and the fact, like, I just go back and I say, what the hell are they thinking of Wan'Dale Robinson? I mean, most guys had him in the third round, and there they go picking 43 Wan'Dale Robinson, who's a little scat back kind of guy that I think it's the same as Kadarius Toney. I think you're just saying the same thing. Like,
And they're trying to trade Kadarius Toney.
what?
And
Like,
the whole Devontae Smith thing really messed them up. It's great.
yeah, it is great. And so again, they still have Daniel Jones. They still have some holes on the offensive line. Yes, I know this is Evan Neal looks good, but last year's pick, was the turnstile. And we'll see. That's all I can say on the
Right.
Giants. I still think they're a little misguided. And as long as they don't figure out that guy in the center, I mean, the Eagles still should sit there pretty good. Even though earlier I said, they didn't get that much better. They should be still sitting pretty, probably second place in this division right now.
Yeah. And I think they closed the gap with what they did.
They do.
The Cowboys subtracted. They didn't gain.
No, by the overall offseason, not by just
Right.
the draft, but I agree. By the
No.
overall
And I'm saying the Eagles,
yeah.
they closed the gap between themselves and the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Between second and first place. I mean, the Cowboys really all they did was subtract.
Yeah.
The defense definitely got better, or like last year, with Diggs and Micah Parsons and stuff like that. But I mean, they lost Amari Cooper. They didn't replace him. They signed Michael Gallup, who's an injury liability. They just retire. And I think Amari Cooper is a better receiver. I get that it's a high price tag, but they didn't get much for him in return.
Yep.
Obviously he's older, but he's still relatively young for where he is in his career age-wise.
Yep.
And, Zeke is, again, another year older, and time has not been his friend. I definitely think the Eagles close the gap because I think the Eagles did get better this offseason, not exponentially. And I think they still are kind of punting the season while acting like they're attempting to do something. But I think the gap is closed.
Yeah, I agree. Man,
And I'm not that high on the Eagles either, but I think they closed the gap.
Yeah. Great NFL talk. We're about 52 minutes into the show. We got about 10 minutes left here. Let's flip the script. I wanted to talk Phillies tonight. I have no reason to talk them now after that pathetic.
They lost 8-7. They blew 7 runs in the ninth. That's all you need to know.
They suck. So let's go on to the Philadelphia 76ers. And, man, like I said, it's been a little bit since we were on the air. This team is confounding. That game 6 in Toronto was about as pure as they could play, especially the last, the third and fourth quarter, and to win by 32. And, it's just awesome to watch and see how good they can play when they're all paired well together. But now, the Embiid injury, talk about that because it really, it deflated the team, obviously. And he went on TNT after the game. He's like, I think my face is broken. And they all laughed and giggled.
And he's like, no, I'm just serious. I think they broke my face.
Yeah. Yep.
And I got a lot of mixed feelings about it. Everybody's revisionist history, like he should have been out of the game, but nobody was crying about it, at least as far as I knew, while it was going on. I'll be honest. It was probably around that time. Like, I wanted it to get to 3 minutes because you never know. Crazy things happen. Now, 30 points is a lot. Like, it sounds insane. But you never know with what Toronto, like sometimes Toronto can just pull 15 points on you like that. And again, the math doesn't equal up, but it's still, I got nervous and it's too good to be true. They're playing a pure full game. Like, it's too good to be true. They should have taken him out sooner, but it's just one of those things where it's like, you don't want to get too ahead of yourself. They end up winning, taking care of business. Yeah, and it's just like one of those things where when you think that, and I really can't get mad at Embiid for doing what he did because I think Canada had it coming for them by the FMB chance. They really did, and they went out of their way to, really get under his skin. So when he did the airplane, And Siakam took offense to that. I mean, I don't think Siakam was straight up doing that intentionally, but yeah, there was a little chippiness probably on it. He was probably just playing pissed off. And I
Yeah.
don't think that made it any better. It's like that one thing, like had Embiid not do that, maybe it doesn't happen that way, but ifs and whatever the saying is that goes with that, it kills us though. Like, and now we're looking at he still hasn't cleared concussion protocol.
Right.
Everybody, he's been listed as out, but I got confirmation from Tom Moore
It might happen.
that there's still a chance. He said there's
Yeah.
still a chance because I reached out and I was just like, so because he said he wrote an article and said they're gonna be without Embiid. I said, wait a minute, can he still pass concussion protocol tomorrow? And he said, yeah, there's still a chance. It
Yeah.
seems like it's a big line building up to it. We'll see.
Well, that's been the biggest thing. Like when it came out, I was like, oh, the fractured orbital bone doesn't matter as much as the concussion.
Right.
He'll wear a mask and he'll figure it out, and then he's going to play. It's the playoffs, but it's just getting him through those steps. And I'm just surprised, and I'm not downplaying it, but then elbow right to like the socket there.
Yeah, how's that
bad of a concussion? Like,
how is it not bad? Like, it's not like. And there's a doctor on the radio the other morning who said there's a one like mild, moderate, and severe concussions. And mild, you're not even knocked out. You don't even know you had a concussion.
Right.
You just end up getting headaches and nausea.
Right. Right.
And that's and he was fine. He never was out of it. Like he was like obviously like in pain and probably like in a little shell shock, but he never lost consciousness. He was aware of the situation after the game. He looked fine, besides a couple stitches.
Yep.
But I guess it was worse than what it is.
So let's look at the games 1 and 2 so far. First game I tweeted out and I just made it simple. The fact that DeAndre Jordan was actually even playing in that game and starting for the 76ers made my, twerk. And it hurt. And then watching how inefficient he is, and then watching Doc Rivers, and I tweeted out after the game, he was minus 22 in 17 minutes. This Doc Rivers, is he trying to get fired? Because his stubbornness and his reactions to the media and his I know better than you, and I've won so many games, I earn this respect, I deserve it, you guys won't give me this. Doc, listen, here's my plea to you. If Joel doesn't play tomorrow, start Georges Niang. I'm just telling you, go small. Go small. Let's just have a ball and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Stretch that floor. I don't give two shits. I think you can post people up against Adebayo. I actually think Tobias can play Adebayo. And I think you can do a little bit of things creatively with this team and spread out the floor. But DeAndre Jordan is a dinosaur that cannot play, and we don't need him out there. B-ball Paul is still a little raw, right?
Yes.
I can handle 10,
he makes hustle plays.
Yeah, 10, 15 minutes, but I don't think he's ready for the big time. And I don't think I need to start him. And, but I got to go all out. I got to go 5-6 deep tomorrow. Shake maybe my sixth, maybe even spread Korkmaz out. Like, give him a few. Just roll, man. Like, Miami's not huge. Like, they're not. Like, it's Adebayo, and that's it. Like, I think you can handle this. What you're doing right now is you're just being stubborn, and I hate listening to this guy anymore.
It's become nauseating. Like, it really has. Like, I get it. Look, nobody, like, it's your coach. You've been doing this for a long, long time. You don't want to be told by the fans what to do and what not to do. I get that. Like, most fans, and I was going to say most fans are stupid. That's not the case. But, like, we're not in the ins and outs. We don't know the X's and O's like they do. We're not lifers. We get it. We understand that. But there's also this thing called the eye test. And we see what the successful teams are doing. And we see what the not so successful teams are doing. And when we can see, and then the numbers back it up, that DeAndre Jordan is more of a minus than the minutes he's played. When you're minus 22 in 17 minutes, it means you're giving up on your stuff alone more than 1 point a minute. that's what it's saying when you're on the floor. Now, that's obviously not like 100% connected to him, but it's a saying like obviously, and they showed for the series, they are +1 when he is off the floor,
Yep.
and minus 68 when he's on the floor for them. I mean, look again. We're not the fans aren't the smartest people ever, but it's clear to see he's getting worked. He's getting out rebounded from guys who are smarter than him. Now, here's the thing with the Heat, and similar to the Raptors, both long, like athletic teams who are really positionless for the most part.
Yeah.
They're all a bunch of these mid-guard, mid-forward type players. They don't have like a real center. Like Bam Adebayo is a really, honestly, with a taller player, he is a really good power forward on most teams.
I agree.
And that's what basketball has become. It's become positionless.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%.
Sixers are not that. And that's that. And Toronto was that, but Miami is just more talented.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this. Like, I'm sure the Sixers were not gonna beat the Heat in a 7-game series with Joel Embiid. I just, that's where I am on the Sixers. I love them. We're pumped. I got my Maxi on, like,
right.
And I'm gonna bleed this blue through and through, but the Heat, you gotta respect them. They're a very good team. And why I think the Heat are so good is it starts with Jimmy, but it's also with Eric Spoelstra, and they're just mentally sound and able to make nothing's too big for them. Look, I don't think they're the most talented team. I think they're probably a 6th, 7th seed if in talent in the East. But they got the 1 seed for a reason, and it's Jimmy and Eric, and they're good, man. They got the 6th man of the year, obviously, and Tyler Hero.
Well, you have a guy who's lights out shooting off your bench. First guy,
and they haven't even used Duncan Robinson.
Right.
Yeah.
A guy who they paid a lot of money to.
Yeah.
To not play.
Who is a lights out shooter, but, has kind of been, I guess I'll say, exposed in this league a little bit. But, like, they're just good, and we got to respect that. But, hey, tomorrow night's it.
Yeah.
Like, it's you just roll it all out there and see what happens. Maxey played a great game in game 2. Tobias has been just balling in the first 2 games.
Has.
And we'll end with this because we got a few minutes left. James Harden better find a way to hit the fountain of youth between now and September of this year.
Right.
Because what he's shown me now, I have no reason to offer this guy any contract extension. He better just pluck that player option, because I don't see any other team give you $200 million for 4 years. Like, dog, you're playing YMCA basketball right now, old man basketball, and I love that you can pass and grab a couple of boards here or there, but I mean, you don't even shoot the 3 that well.
Well,
being honest.
The thing is, I think there's a way he can remedy this. I don't think we're ever going to get the James Harden of old, and that's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay. He needs to morph into Chris Paul and get healthy, meaning he still passes the ball efficiently. There were a couple passes last night that he kind of short-armed, but for the most part, he's still needing the thread. But when you see his jump shots, he's coming up flat-footed. When he's coming up for threes, it looks like he's getting this much off the ground. And that's why he's not making those shots. Before he used to get this, now he's getting this.
Yeah.
That's just, it's paraphrasing. But I think if he can find himself a true identity and come to realization of what his skills are now and his physical condition, if he can really find that fountain of youth, really focus this summer. Like, look, I'm not saying don't go out and have a good time, but really put your craft. Like, they have said that he does practice hard and he does care, but I think he's going to have to up that another level. He's going to have to go above and beyond whatever he's done in the past. And he's going to have to just focus on being a facilitator with somewhat of a shot. And the Sixers are also going to have to either clean their bench and bring in new, or they're going to have to go and bring in somebody else, whether that means like that. I think the one thing they can do, and one thing that's helped them so far, I mean, we'll get into this further, but Tobias Harris has had a really good playoff series for them. Maybe you can flip his contract somewhere and open up some room and make some space, or make that deal at Washington or something. But I think it all starts with James Harden figuring out who he is, because it sounds like he's going to opt into that deal. He's going to get the $47 million deal. And then the Sixers and him are going to negotiate something going forward past that. But at least this year we'll be on that $47 million deal.
Yeah. I think we're all seeing.
I can live with that. But he's got to work.
I can live with Harden. Well, you got to live with Harden for another year. You can't wait all that stuff.
There's no way they're not letting him walk.
No, I can't live with him.
Getting 250 without doing anything.
I can't. And what you're seeing is the Harden that concerned me a little bit too. Like, he says the right things after the game and before the game. Like, all I want to do is win. That's why you're not seeing me try and go for 30. I can get 30 if I want to get 30. I got it, James. But really, all you want to do is win, because when I watch you out there sometimes with the body language and the effort that you give, because let's even go back to before we got you. I saw the clips against Sacramento when you're just not even trying. Is that really what you're out there trying to do? Because this is playoff James, and playoff James always scared me. He scared me again, and it sucks to say it's with my team.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I know we got next week to talk about it. I hope James needs to change it, right? You got Sunday is game 4, then you're back on Tuesday, game 5. I mean, try and flip this thing. Get to Miami. Get to Miami 2-2. We beat this Heat team without Embiid before. We beat them without Harden. There's a chance. There's a chance we can flip this script and just make it interesting. That's all I'm looking for.
I mean, the thing is, Embiid's got to play tomorrow night.
I agree.
If he doesn't play, it's going to be very hard to win that game. And if it goes to 3 games, then I don't think you play Embiid. If you're down 3-0 and you didn't play Embiid in game 3, you don't play him in game 4, and you wrap it up. You don't want to give up like that. But to me, it's just, you're asking a lot, and then you're going to risk him getting further injury.
Yeah. No, man, it just sucks to go out. Like, if he doesn't play, like, I don't say we were so high after game 6, but we were like, man, like, just look at this 132. This is
look at what could be. What could be.
It's a shame. It just feels like every year this is the brick wall. This is, the stopping point.
Yep. Round 2.
And there's not a lot of years left in that Embiid tank.
No.
Yeah. All right, man. I don't want to end on a sour note, but it is what it is. And maybe tomorrow we get that energy. Maybe we get some good news by 4 or 5 o'clock that he's passed a few protocols and he comes out there with a cape on. Yeah. And if he does, that building's going to be rocking.
Yeah.
And if it's rocking, I feel like we got this one tomorrow. So we'll see about Sunday. But I feel good about tomorrow if he comes out there with that cape and that mask.
Or die.
Yep. All right, bud. It's been a good rock and roll show for, a Thursday night, 4th and Go edition. I don't have a winning Thursday. I don't have a tagline for Thursday, especially after what the Phillies did. But I can tell you this. It was fun.
It was fun.
That's awesome, man.
Thursday.
So till next week, man, we'll do it up. We'll talk more. This is Philly 4th and Go. All our 4 for 4 sports. That's what we do. We're on Heat Ratio Live. This was our 18th episode here at Heat Ratio. Turned it over since the new year. Can't wait to, the future is bright, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Marc T. That's it. We'll talk next week. Thank you. And thank everyone for joining in tonight. Until next week, we're 4th and Go. I'm Dave. That's Marc. Deuces.